We don't often get the opportunity to hear music by Mexican composers in our symphonic repertoire, but there are really two 20th century Mexican composers who do show up from time to time, and that's Carlos Chavez and Silvestre Revueltas. Revueltas is a little bit of a sad figure in the history of music, but he was immensely talented, and although he left only a small body of work, it's high quality work. In fact, he may well be many people's favorite Mexican composer from the 20th century. And in the 20th century, Mexico was a very important participant in the field of modernism, especially in the visual arts, but also in music. Revueltas, though he was born in 1899, lived only until 1940. He was plagued by alcoholism, and he was a little hard to get along with in many points in his career. So his career didn't flourish as one hopes it might have, but he's been very much appreciated in more recent decades. He was much educated in the United States. As a young man, he was sent to Texas, then he went to conservatory in Chicago, where he in fact taught for many years, and he led a bifurcated career, dividing his time between the United States and Mexico. And in fact, he, at times in his career, held very important posts in the Mexican musical establishment and in the government and in the conservatory system. His greatest successes he scored as a film composer, and he composed music for films by some of the most noted directors of his day in Mexico. The film score, La Noche de los Mayos, dates from 1939, which is right near the very end of his life. And it's not a great film. In fact, it's very hard to even find a copy of this film today, although it does exist in some film archives, and I wish it could be revived. But it's never referred to as a very fine film, although it has an interesting pretext. The idea of the film is that a young man and a young woman from urban Mexico at that time, the 1930s, travel back to the Yucatan Peninsula, to a small village where they begin to live life much as their ancestors would have lived it in ancient Mayan times. And then there's a collision of modernity and antiquity, and whether it really works as a film is a little bit up for grabs. But the scenes of music that Revueltas wrote for this film are very beautiful, and in fact it used the full resources of the modern symphony orchestra, including a very expanded percussion section that provides hugely important and exciting climaxes to the musical story that underpins the telling of this film.